hate to break it to you, babe, but your makeup is aging you. The number one question I get asked all the time as a working pro makeup artist is, how do I look younger? Today, I'm breaking down 5 makeup mistakes that you might be making that are causing you to look older and are robbing you of that youthful, delicious glow that we all deserve. Sometimes less is more, and the devil is in the details. Now, the first mistake you might be making is using way too much foundation or base or whatever it is that you use on your skin. You're using way too much. Now, many of the foundations that are on the market these days are incredibly pigmented, which is great because that means that you can use less of it, but it will still give you that flawless look that you're looking for in a more natural way. From the beginning of my application, you can see that I'm using way too much, even though I do end up with a pretty flawless base at the end because of how I applied it. Now, you remember when I said less is more? That's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to use the same full coverage foundation, so it's still going to give us the finish that we're looking for, but with a lot less product on the skin. I used the one size Turn Up the Base foundation. This is a very, very full coverage foundation. It's beautiful. It's in my kit for those clients that are looking for more coverage, especially if I don't have a lot of time. This is going to get the job done in a less amount of time, and it's going to give me a lot of coverage when I need it. I thought this would be a perfect foundation to show you how to get a natural finish, but with a full coverage foundation. First things first, I'm just gonna pump a little of it on the back of my hand. I know for those of you who watch my channel before, you know I always stress this, but I'm telling you, you have so much more control over the product if you put it on the back of your hand, as opposed to just putting it directly onto your face. You're already halfway there with having way too much product on your face, and removing it is not as easy as you think. Always start on the back of the hand. This is your palette. I'm going to take the same exact brush that I used before. I'm going to grab a paper towel and I'm going to try and remove a lot of the product that's already in the brush. We're starting with an almost clean brush, but then you're making sure that there isn't a lot of product left over in here that's going to end up on your face. So I'm going to just take a little bit of foundation and work it into the brush. I've done this before, and that just makes sure that there is product in the brush, but it's not on top of the brush. And then we're just gonna go in very lightly, and I'm just lightly tapping. And as you can see, I'm already getting some coverage. There's very, very little product on this brush right now, but I'm just tapping it, kind of buffing it. So this also ensures that if you have a full coverage foundation, but you're looking for a more natural finish, you can still use the same product. You just have to use it in a different way. You don't have to go out and buy something else. You can make what you have work for you. Just gonna take a little bit more, and then we're just feathering the foundation out. So you can see around here, it still looks really natural on the perimeter of my face because I don't need a lot of coverage there. I mostly need the coverage here. Buffing on the forehead, really lightly, and taking whatever product you have and kind of stretching it across the face. And like I said, the pigment that's in this foundation, it will stretch, it will work for you. And there's still a little bit of my natural coloring peeking through the foundation, which I particularly love because, again, it lends itself to feeling a little bit more natural, a little bit more like my skin and not foundation or makeup. When we're talking about makeup looking youthful, I think that's one of the most important things. The skin should look like skin. The second makeup mistake that you might be making that is definitely aging you is your brows are too dark, honey. They are way, way too dark. And I know this because I have fallen into this trap myself and I have been a victim. I caught a glimpse of myself from 2016 and I thought I was looking so good and my brows were almost black. Do you see black hair anywhere? Even if you have black hair, you should not have black brows unless they are black naturally, and even then I would still fill in with a dark brown pencil or pen. The only time I would ever use a black pencil would be on someone with very, very deep skin who had very, very deep hair. I'm thinking now in my pro kit I do have a black pen, but I have used it so rarely. Another thing that's aging you is a skinny brow. Do I think you should be feathering your brows and making them big and fat like I do? No, unless that's what you want to do. I love a big, fat, fluffy brow. A fat brow lends to a more youthful look because if you look at most children, 99% of them have glorious fat brows that have not been touched by wax or tweezers or anything like that. They have not been groomed. So when I think of a big brow, I think of a more youthful brow. So I just brush them up with a little bit of the NYX brow glue. I love this stuff. It definitely makes sure that the brows will stay in place. I did also use this for my previous look just to make sure that I was using the same products, but I'm going to make a little bit of a change when it comes to the brow pen. Now, the one that I used before was the espresso pen. It's very, very dark. So I'm just gonna take the ash brown, which is a shade down from the espresso, and I'm gonna fill in my brows. And a lot of times what I'll do, I'll go in with a few strokes, and then I'll just take my finger and press just to kind of blot it, if that makes any sense. It makes it a little bit more natural. It kind of blurs the lines. It's not as harsh. So you want to keep everything soft, everything blended, especially the details. Filling in every couple, tapping. Sometimes you'll get a little bit too much product that comes out of the end. And I've found that if you just take your finger and soften it, that really helps. Baby, your concealer is too light. It is not making you look fresh. It is not making you look awake. It is too light and it's making you look old. And if you have mature skin like I do, those little laugh lines and creases around your eyes, you don't want to accentuate that area any more than you have to. But if there's a particular formula of concealer that you love, but you know that the shade just isn't right, go a little bit deeper and I promise you, you're going to get the results that you want, especially real life results. This isn't like we're in a photo studio and everything is filtered and you're under perfect lighting like I am. I have great lighting right now. And even then, this concealer that I used is way too light. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I love this formula. It's in my kit. This is the shade 2.75. I'm going to use Custard, which is medium 1. So this is light, this is medium, and Custard is one shade up. I wanted to show you the same formulation that I used in a little bit of a different way and in a deeper shade. I'm actually going to apply it exactly the way I did previously as well, which is I put a bunch of it on the back of my hand and I worked off the back of my hand. I'm going to take the same brush that we used. I think this is a crown brush. I'm going to wipe off a lot of it on the paper towel like I did with the foundation brush. Work it into the brush like I did with the foundation. Are you seeing a pattern here? Mm-hmm. This is what the pros do. They work in very, very light layers. That's why it looks so good. And then I'm just going to apply it where I need it, all around the eye. And what it should do, it should brighten. It should conceal. It should give you that lifted look. Another thing I like to do is I'll double check if I need concealer in any other places, which I really don't because of the full coverage foundation that I used. Now I know eyeliner is very polarizing for a lot of people. Eyeliner can help your eyes look bigger, but it really does depend on the placement and it depends on how you use it. When you place an eyeliner, particularly a black eyeliner, in your waterline and smudge it underneath here, it's not going to look balanced. It's going to make your eye look heavy and it's going to pull everything down. And that's not what we want. We want everything to be lifted. I'm going to take the same pencil that I used. It's a black pencil, but I'm going to tightline instead. So it's going to give us a little bit of that depth at the lash line, but it won't be nearly as heavy. Just going to pull up and apply the eyeliner all the way in like that. You see how that gave a little bit of depth to the top lash line? I'm just going to take the eyeliner and run it through my lashes to make sure there aren't any gaps. So what it does is it keeps the eye lifted, but it defines it in a really natural way. It's gonna do the other eye, tight lining. This does tickle a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Work it along, make sure it gets between the lashes. Now the next makeup mistake that's aging you is probably your blush, and let me explain why. It's not the type of blush, it's not whether you're using a powder or a cream, it's your placement. Now there can be an argument made for the blush placement that I did previously, which is sort of centered on the apple of the cheek and working its way up. The only thing I would say in that regard, if you are going to place the blush in that area like I did before, use your blush sparingly because if you use too much, it can be very heavy. I think a lot of the best blush placement is a higher blush placement, but I will balance that with a little bit of blush across the nose. I'm using the Tarte blush in Blushing Bride along with the Smith Cosmetics 112 brush. This is one of my favorites. I'm just gonna swirl it in the product, tap it off, and just start shaping the blush right here on kind of the outer third of the cheek. And you see what I mean, where it kind of gives that lifted look. Do I bring the blush down sometimes? Sometimes I do. It just depends. I try not to bring it any farther than the end of my iris right here. It just kind of frames the face and gives you this glow without feeling too closed in or heavy. Okay, I lied. I did say 5 things, but I kind of meant 6 because we have to talk about lipstick and how your lipstick is aging you because you're using matte products that are way too dry and you're not lining your lips or giving them any definition or putting any kind of gloss on top, and it looks dusty. To give the lips some definition, because we don't want them to disappear, we're going to line them with a lip liner. This is from Tarte. It's going to take it nice and light. And then we're gonna overdraw the Cupid's bow just a bit and just connect it down. I have to overdraw a little more on this side because my lip is a little uneven. So we're creating symmetry in the lips, which also lends itself to a more youthful look. And I'm taking the same matte lipstick that I used. This is from Chanel. This is in light mauve. Just gonna fill in. And as you can see, there's already a difference because of the structure that the lip liner gave my lips. Now, I love the way this looks, but I'm going to add a little bit of gloss just to give it a little bit more life so it doesn't look so flat. Pat that in. So those are just a few tips I like to give to make sure you're getting the most out of your products. Like I said, I wanted to use the same products for both demonstrations just to show you that you can make your makeup work for you. For more tips to help prevent your makeup from creasing and how to look flawless all day, check out my playlist right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about this video or any ideas for future videos, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click that notification bell and subscribe for more makeup content from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week with a brand new video.